Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy you tuned in today and welcome back to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Dr. Linzi and I am a naturopathic doctor right here in Iron River. And I specialize in helping people restore their health and revitalize their life. Always a disclaimer here, anything we discuss is for the purpose of general health purposes, not intended to treat or cure anything here. We're just talking about overall physiology, optimizing our health. Always consult with your own primary care doc before making any health changes, right? Well, so last week we talked about a really big topic, cholesterol, and we covered how nearly 1 in 7 Americans take a statin. And under the new cholesterol guidelines of 2026, researchers estimate that more than half of adults between the ages of 30 and 79 years old will now qualify for a statin. So we dove into this lovely outdated cholesterol hypothesis. We talked about what we currently know about cholesterol and how it's not all bad by any means. We covered what cholesterol actually does in the body, how wonderful it actually is on many levels, the new research, and all about statins and what to do if you've been told your cholesterol is high and you need a statin. Now, again, this isn't medical advice, but I wanted to help people understand this topic so they could make more informed decisions for themselves. So if you missed it, I highly recommend watching the replay. You want to be in the know on this topic, you guys, because chances are, if 1 and 2 are going to be recommended a statin, you want to be informed on this. So I also created a free handout with questions that you can ask your primary care so that you have a better idea of what's going on with your health. So you're more than welcome to request the replay, to request the free handout. And so the best way is to follow me on Facebook under Linzi Say Larson. So that's Linzi. And then Say, S as in Sam, Aigh, Larson, Larsen. Follow me on Facebook. You can send me a message. You can comment on one of the posts and I'll get what you need over to you, okay? And so now this week, I want to talk about something fun so that you guys are also more informed on the lovely lies we've been told about weight loss. So on Monday, I asked a question on Facebook. What is the biggest lie we've been told about weight loss? And I gave 4 options. A, to eat less and move more. How many of us have heard that? That it's just calories in versus calories out. C, that you just need more willpower. Or D, the next medication, peptide, supplement, or GLP-1 is going to fix everything for you. The responses that I got were really great. So many thoughtful answers. And so today I want to walk through those so you can understand. And I want to spend a little bit more time talking about option D because I believe it's one of the biggest misconceptions that we're dealing with in health right now. So let's start with lie number 1, the lovely eat less, move more. I see this in more females burnt out than ever before. Now, does movement matter? Absolutely. Does nutrition matter? Of course. But if losing weight were truly as simple as eating less and moving more, then why are millions of Americans literally trying harder and still struggling? Because the reason is the body is much more complex than a simple math equation of eat less, move more. The things that matter are our hormones, our sleep. Stress matters more than anything. Muscle, your muscle mass, inflammation, the health of your gut, your gastrointestinal tract, the burden on your liver. And so your body isn't just this calculator. And also, so many people are overdoing the move more and overdoing the not eating enough. And what happens is when you're doing that, you're actually further stressing your body. When you're overdoing cardio, you are literally increasing your cortisol, which if you're in a more healthy, balanced place, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It would be called what's a hormetic stress, a controlled stressor. Those controlled stressors can be good for us, but if we're already stressed out, if we're already burned out, if we're already maxed out, and then we're just going and doing a bunch of cardio and then not eating enough, oh my gosh, you guys, that is the worst thing for your nervous system. You're already going to jack your cortisol even more and stress your nervous system even more. And so I have found that most people need to tone down the exercise routine. We still need to move our body, of course, but in a very different way. And at least until we stabilize everything. And we just need to be more intentional with our movement. And so often, people need to actually eat more and eat more consistently. And I'll explain about that because when your body is like having to wonder when your next meal is or that you're not going to get nutrients, guess what it does? It stores everything. And then when you're messing with your cortisol by overdoing the cardio and not eating enough, guess what you end up getting? That lovely little belly that so many women hate, that tends to go right to the midsection. They call that the cortisol belly for a reason. And excessive cardio, when you're already in a depleted state, can contribute to that significantly. So lie number 2, calories in, calories out. So I always tell clients, calories, they do matter, but your body decides what to do with those calories. So 2 people could literally eat the exact same meal, and one stores it completely different than the other. And the reason being is because the difference between those 2 people is their blood sugar, their insulin, their stress hormones, their muscle mass, their thyroid function, their level of inflammation. So you guys, the body is incredibly intelligent. So yes, calories matter, but instead of counting calories, I encourage clients and teach them how to count chemicals. What do I mean by that? Literally counting the chemicals in the food. And so when I do the total health restoration system with clients, we are focusing on whole real foods. Counting the chemicals actually matters way more than counting any calories, because the chemicals are what your body can't recognize and doesn't know what to do with, and starts storing things, starts overburdening the liver, starts storing it as fat because it doesn't know what to do with it. So we need to stay away from the processed and definitely the ultra processed foods, because the body doesn't know what to do with it. It's just total garbage. And so also, most people, like I mentioned, aren't eating enough, and they often skip meals. So this is all causing stress on the body, and the body doesn't know when it's going to get its next level of nutrients. So it starts storing everything you put into it. And so many, especially women, maybe men do this too, but I notice it more with women, is that they're like, oh, I put on a few pounds. Okay, let me skip breakfast and lunch, and I'm only going to eat dinner today. You know what that is, you guys? That is the sumo diet. Sumos, it's like sumo wrestlers, literally to prepare and put on all that fat, because they're not just putting on weight, they want to put on that blubber. And the sumo diet is literally to not eat all day and to have the biggest meal of the day be dinner, and then to go to bed. And that's like the standard American way. People are too busy to eat a high protein breakfast. They usually skip lunch because they're stressed or they're not hungry. Then they get home, they're ravenous. Their biggest meal of the day, and sometimes their only meal, is dinner. And then they go to bed. That you are literally following the sumo diet. So if you would love to put on blubber and fat and just fatten right up, that is a great method. Otherwise, I do not suggest that method. So we usually have to work on that and work on changing habits. Now, there are a few that genuinely are overeating and having way too large of portions, and we do need to address that. Even me, when I started, when I lost the 36 pounds and went through that journey of learning, I was eating too much. My portions were, I was just like stress eating, overeating. Even though I choose very healthy things, my portions were too large. So I did have to address that. But for the most part, most people are usually not eating enough and skipping meals, which wreaks havoc on your nervous system and your cortisol and your ability to lose weight. Lie number 3 is you just need more willpower. Now this one gets me because it like hurts my heart, because we try so hard and we just feel like we're failing. Like, why don't I just have more discipline, more willpower? Well, I want you guys to know that in reality, your biology is often fighting against you. So it's not just a matter of willpower. If you've only slept 4 to 5 hours, if you're stressed, if you're inflamed, if your blood sugar is crashing, you see a trend here of what each lie has, that it's not addressing all of these other things. Your brain literally starts craving quick energy. And so that craving for quick energy, that's not a weakness, that's literally physiology. And sometimes you could have all the willpower in the world, but because of all those things I mentioned, like the lack of sleep, the stress, the inflammation, your blood sugar crashing, your physiology is going to take over because it's needing that quick energy to try to keep you safe. And so we have to work on creating the conditions for health so those cravings don't happen. So the answer isn't beating yourself up. The answer is literally creating the conditions where your body doesn't have to fight you, or you don't feel like you're fighting your mind. And this is what I also teach clients in the total health restoration, and why we have such success. And we're learning all the ways to not simply rely on willpower, because if you are only relying on willpower, you will eventually fail. Because remember, again, willpower, the definition is literally energetic determination. So there's 2 things at play here. Not only are you going against your biology when your sugar is crashing and you're needing that quick energy, Also, you may start out the morning with great willpower, but if the definition is energetic determination, at the end of the day, if you worked a full day, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're all these things, and then how much energy and determination do you have at the end of the day? And if you skipped your meals and you didn't eat breakfast and you didn't eat lunch and now it's dinner and you're starving and you're stressed, where does your willpower go? Right out the window. So that is not necessarily setting you up for success. So we have to work on the habits, not just, hey, you need more willpower. And then lie number 4, which I feel is the biggest lie that we're dealing with right now, currently, in the weight loss realm and the health realm, is that the next medication or peptide or GLP-1 is going to fix everything. I feel like that is truly the newest lie. And now, before anyone misunderstands me, I want to be very clear. I use peptides. I personally used a microdose of a GLP-1 as a tool to help me on my journey, and it helped me. So I'm not against them. I think they can be incredible tools when used correctly, because they're really not being used correctly out there in the world. But we have to understand that they are tools. They're not the entire toolbox. So yesterday, I posted a picture of me in this jean jumpsuit, okay? So last summer, or really any time since high school, you guys, I would never be wearing a jumpsuit. Just not gonna happen. But this year, this summer, I'm 36 pounds lighter. I turned 40 and I feel amazing. I feel comfortable in my own skin. I have energy. I feel great. And did I use a GLP-1? Yes. Did it help? Absolutely. Was it the reason I lost the 36 pounds and why I feel so great? No. And here's why. And we're going to go back to this. Tell me if you notice the theme here. If you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, if you're eating very little protein, if you're living in chronic stress, if your blood sugar is swinging, if you have gut inflammation, if you're deficient in important nutrients, if your nervous system has been stuck in survival mode, if your liver is overwhelmed, a peptide, a GLP-1, it can't magically erase those things. It may help support the process, but it can't replace the process. Hear me. It can't replace the process, you guys. So imagine, like, a great analogy is trying to build a home and you buy the best hammer money can buy. Does that build the home? No, you still need the blueprint, the foundation, the framing, the electrical, the plumbing. The hammer helps, but it's not going to build you that house. And that's how I view peptides. We have to create the conditions for health. Otherwise, you're going to be like the majority of the statistics where you're just going to gain all the weight back when you stop, just like with any type of weight loss thing that doesn't address the root causes and doesn't address creating the conditions that help have the health. Otherwise, as soon as you take that tool away, like you can't move forward, or the things come back. So you have to address it. So I like to think of asking better questions. So when someone reaches out to work with me, I don't start by thinking, oh, which peptide or, which thing is going to, help you the best. I ask different questions. I want to know, why are you exhausted? Why is your body inflamed? Why is your weight stuck? Why is your gut reacting to everything you're eating and you're getting bloated with everything? Why are your hormones struggling? Why is your nervous system on high alert? Because when we answer those questions, the body often begins responding in the way it was designed to, and then the tool that we're using can be that much more effective, and then the results can be long lasting, and you don't have to continue to use that tool forever. I have people with some serious questions around using a GLP-1, which is, as soon as I stop, am I going to gain it all back? And number 2, like, do I have to keep taking this forever? Well, like, yes, people are having to take it forever because they're not changing the foundation. They're not changing the core of why their hormones became imbalanced, why their gut became inflamed, why they're stressed to the max all the time. So yeah, you technically would have to do that forever if you're not going to address the foundation. So if we can address the foundation, which is what we do with total health restoration, then you don't need to take that thing forever. You use it to help you make the better choices, to get the habits in place, and then the habits become a part of who you are. They become a part of your lifestyle. They just become not this quote program or this diet or any of that. They literally become a part of you, and that's how you live. And you are now living a health-filled lifestyle that supports you and your goals. So I want you guys, so if there's one thing I hope you remember from today, it's that there are no quick fixes. I know these peptides and this GLP-1 surge really start to feel like they are a quick fix, and they may even appear that way because a lot of people will just start dropping weight in that first month and then stall, or it stops, or if they stop the peptide, the weight comes back on because they change nothing about their life. They change nothing about their lifestyle that got them to where they are. And so it's truly not helpful. So we know that it's not as simple as eat less, move more. We know that it's not calories in versus calories out. We know that it's not just more willpower. And we know that the next peptide or GLP-1 is not going to just automatically fix our problems. It's not that simple. But I will tell you how simple it is. It is as simple as when you create the conditions for health with consistent habits and utilize the helpful tools, you can see success and reach your goals when it comes to your weight and to your health. Now, did I say it was easy? No, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? But it's simple. It's not that complicated, you guys. We make it all complicated. We feel like we need this next fix. We feel like we have to watch all these influencers and TikToks and all these things and like pick up on the thing that's going to be the catalyst for the change we need. I'll tell you what, you guys, you know what the catalyst is? You. You and your daily choices are the catalyst to make the change that you need in your life. And sometimes we need help with that. We need help to bring out our healing. We need guidance. We need accountability. And so while medications, supplements, peptides, they all have their place, none of them are going to replace creating the conditions for health. They are tools, not the entire plan. So I want you guys to understand that if this conversation resonated with you and you're tired of chasing quick fixes one after the other, I'd love to hear from you. You can always send our office a message. You can comment Total Health on today's Facebook post, and we'll help you learn more about the Total Health Restoration System and whether it's a right fit for you. Have you heard some of those lies about weight loss?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you ever followed any of them and been like, why isn't it working?
Yep. Well, as you point out, there's a lot of variables, and
Yes.
you have to look at everything. I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
One of the variables that people say works, and you tell me if you think it does or not. Intermittent fasting, where you might, I know you said don't eat late at night.
Correct.
So you quit eating, you have your last meal 6-ish or whatever, and then you don't have breakfast. You say you wake up at 6 in the morning, that's 12 hours. You don't have breakfast immediately. You might wait till 8 or
not too late. So
yeah.
Usually what I recommend, and now you have to remember, there is a difference between fasting for males and females.
Oh.
So there's a great book called Fast Like a Girl. And so all of the fasting studies, you have to remember, were done on males.
Oh.
And females are different. We have different hormones. We have different things going on. So women who truly want to lose weight, I have found that we can still incorporate intermittent fasting, but most women, when they're coming in to see me, they are doing intermittent fasting by skipping breakfast because it's the easiest. And that is not the way to do it. That's not going to help your cortisol. That's not going to help your cortisol rhythm, your hormone rhythm. We want to work with our rhythm. So you can still, I do think it is, of course, helpful to our digestive system, to our cellular health, to have a break where we're not always eating. But the best way to do it, like you said, is to stop eating sooner. The smallest meal of the day to be dinner, which goes totally against how we do things. And it's hard. But if you want to maximize it, you can do intermittent fasting, but you figure out how to make it happen where your smallest meal is dinner and it's done early. At least no later than 6. And that 12-hour, window, you don't need to go much more than that, at least for females, if you're doing it regularly. And you still have that high protein breakfast, and your larger meals are breakfast and lunch. And one thing that I find most helpful for weight loss and for women is the 4-4-12 rule. So you have your last meal and smallest meal, get done relatively early, then 12 hours, then you eat your breakfast, then you go about 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then you have lunch, 4 to 5 hours, your dinner, and then you're waiting that 12 hours. So that's 4-4-12.
And don't be snacking in between.
Oh yeah. You don't want to be doing too much snacking. You want to give that break so your body can handle it. Now, I also feel that fasting is extremely beneficial, like long-term fasting, like a 3 to 5 day fast. But if you are like, if your nervous system is super stressed out, you haven't really started your health journey yet, you're struggling with a lot of things, your blood sugar's all over the place, you don't want to start with a 3 to 5 day fast. Like that's not, you're gonna feel like garbage, you're gonna massively detox, it's probably not gonna feel good. So do I think longer fasts are amazing? Yes, but you got to do it when you've already done something like the 90-day total health restoration, or you've stabilized your blood sugar, you've helped your body cleanse a little bit, there's less burden on your body, and you have the support and the guidance, and then you do something like an extended fast. It can be extremely powerful, and there's so many benefits. I could go on a whole episode about of the benefits of fasting. Yeah. It's just that sometimes we have to be more intentional with how we do the fast when we're trying, like if our goal is to lose weight, if our goal is to break down fat. And so that's what I have found. If somebody really wants to do that intermittent fasting, when they're working on a weight loss goal or they're part of the total health restoration, we usually do like the 4-4-12, okay, and that tends to work really well.
Yeah. I always forget the difference between men and women, because like I go on the carnivore diet, and my wife, there's no way she's going to be on the carnivore just eating meat. And
right. Well, and because everybody's so different, and what I find too with sometimes with those what I would say are a bit of extremes. So the one side, the carnivore, the other side, the plant-based, right? And so I spent a lot of time researching both of those because I had some patients with genuine concerns. Now, I think most people doing either one of those extremes will initially feel better because guess what they're eating less of? Processed food.
Yep.
So they're eating real whole foods. They're likely going to feel better for a little bit. And for certain conditions, the plant-based or the carnivore might be helpful. Like there's a lot of people, if they have serious gut issues like either Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome or things like that, the carnivore, because of the less plants and the things that plants have their protective mechanisms, it really calms down the GI. And I think it can be helpful short term. But I think anything, even Paul Salandino, he's a MD, he's kind of started carnivore's been around for a long time, but he really started it becoming more popular. Even now today, I read his book and been following him for, I don't know, 8 years or so. Now today, he even adds in some fruits and a little bit of certain vegetables. Because I think what we end up finding is if we go long term on any extreme, there's going to be a type of deficiency.
No.
And so we could do it temporarily to help us with whatever symptoms maybe we have going on. But I truly believe, like, God didn't create, all plants to be poisonous to us. And God didn't create animal meat to be this awful thing. And so now there's a difference with animal meat, getting it at Walmart and getting it from your local farmer. Yep. And that is a huge difference in how inflammatory it would be for you or the different things. But I feel like with all that research I did, looking at all the documentaries and all the books that I read, I spent like 3 weeks diving into it. It comes back to like the middle. We need to have less processed food across the board, but we need some of that animal protein. There's certain nutrients in there that we can't get from plants, and we need some beautiful fruits and plants. And now if somebody has a more digestive or sensitive digestive system, they could cook the vegetables, steam or bake or roast, because that helps start breaking down the vegetable. Yep. And so then it's easier on your gut, but there's still so many beautiful nutrients in that. And so I have found through my clinical experience and just what I've researched that we kind of need to come into the middle of like a balance. Yep. of it all.
Yeah. What you're describing, I've heard people say, you should only shop the perimeter
grocery shopping.
Sorry.
Yep.
Don't go in the aisles, because that's where all the processed food is.
Yep, it's true.
Get your vegetables and your meats.
The real foods are on the outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
From nature.
The foods that will rot. Right? And
yeah.
That's always
there you go. The
preservatives.
Twinkies. That's one of the few things that last the nuclear war. That and
right.
Bugs, I think.
Yeah, I always tell clients, like, a helpful thing to do is like, what food should you be putting in your body? Like, if you put it on the counter, how long until it starts to grow mold or rots? That's a sign that your body's probably going to recognize it and be able to use the nutrients, and it's living food. These boxes and bags, now I know, like, we're going to have some of it in our life, but if the more we can cut that out, the better we're going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's kind of, and sometimes we need a little help and guidance to go through our pantry, to learn how to shop. So many people just get in a routine. And, I always say, like, our environment, I was just talking with the, on the accountability call yesterday with the Total Health Restoration, group. We were talking about environment and how environment helps us form the habits, our surroundings. So if we have the bad food around, like, we have to try to set ourselves up for success. And that comes to all different areas of our life, and we have to be more aware of our environment, even the people we surround ourselves with, the food we surround ourselves with, the things we're doing. If we set ourselves up for success, it makes the habits so much easier when we have an environment that's supporting the habits we're trying to create. I encourage people to go to a new grocery store. If you're local, take a little trip over to Rhineland or Golden Harvest. Oh my gosh, my favorite store. But go to a different grocery store so you're not just doing your routine. So you look at things differently, right? So that can be helpful. Yeah. So
Dr. Linzi, I could listen to you for a long time, and
yeah.
It's
good to have these, and that's one thing that I hear so much in the total health restoration is the clients in there, they like the thing that they talk about when it gets closer to the end of the 90 days that they're going to miss the most is just having that person to bounce ideas off of. Like, what about this? What about this? And accountability and talking about the different things that are in the health realm and to have that support to talk through it. Because sometimes it feels like, we're not on an island when we're trying to do healthy things and we feel lost. So to have that support can be really helpful. Right. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining me today. And remember to take care of yourself because your health truly is one of the greatest investments you'll ever make. And so I hope today's episode encouraged you to explore new ways to support your healing and helped remind you that healing is possible. And I encourage you always, you guys, to make creating the conditions for health a priority and keep supporting that incredible body of yours. And just know that if you need anything, like reach out, you can call or text the office at 906-829-0500. You can also email info@drlinzi.com. That's drlinzi.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Lindsay Say Larson, and message me there or comment on the post there. And I look forward to hearing from you. And you guys have a great rest of your week. Oh, I usually end with a challenge. I forgot. So the challenge for this week is I want you to take a look at your environment. This is the challenge I gave to my total health restoration people as well, and see what is in your environment that is not supporting the positive habits you're trying to create and see how you can change that to set yourself up for success. Okay, see you guys later.
Thank you, Dr. Linzi.